Okay, good morning. Happy Thursday. It's a sunny day. That's always a good thing here in Columbus, Ohio. I'm going to ask everybody, as you know, we're being recorded, but could you do us a favor and in the chat, put your name and the organization you're with, just so we're sure to capture everybody. I greatly appreciate it. And a couple more people jumping in here. Scott, will you do me the favor of putting that message in? Yeah, so the people who are just joining us know to put their name and the organization they're with. Although many of you, I recognize your faces, so. Okay, well, the first thing I want to start with before we get into all this is for those of you, and I think almost everybody on this call is already a part of the Job Center. I want to really share my deep appreciation for you being willing to jump in together with us and serve the clients who are coming to us, who are looking for their next best. As you know, people often are not coming to the Job Center on their best day. And even though I like to talk about the Job Center like it's a mall, malls are happy places if you're going to spend money and get yourself something new. So the Job Center might be about getting yourself something new, but it may not always be a happy situation when you first walk in. And all of us together are making the people who come feel welcome, and according to our surveys, very happy, for the most part, overwhelmingly very happy and feeling like they're getting the services they need. So I don't know how often people thank you and your organizations for doing the work you do. I want to be one of the ones who does do that, because I also understand that where I sit at the board doesn't mean I'm always getting the opportunity to interact with people on the ground as much as I'd like. And so I just want to relay that. And if you're like me and don't get to do that, please relay that to the staff who are doing that frontline work. Okay. Oh, one more person. All right. So we're going to get started. I am, okay, that is weird. Hold on. Oh, there we go. I have to turn it here. All right, just to remind you what we're doing, and if I'm looking over here, that's because that's where my screen is, because I like to see your faces. I want to remind you what we're here to do. The job seeker, as I said, the job seeker and our employers are at the center of what we collectively do. And I know that all of us are in here, hopefully all of us are in here because we have a passion for helping, but especially in helping our clients who are both people who want to get to their next best and our employers who we want to be successful, right? And thrive in the Central Ohio economy. So the Franklin County workforce ecosystem, which is all of us and maybe some others who don't necessarily join us in the Job Center, what we want to do is figure out how do we create a collaboration that empowers that success for everybody. I want to share with you, in the last couple of years, I was able to share with you exciting things like we've redone the Job Center and we used other people's money to do it, which is always a good thing. We're hoping that if you have staff who are in the Job Center on a weekly basis, or when you come in yourself, it's a great place to be. It has a completely different feel. But there are other exciting reasons to be part of the Job Center, and I just want to share some of those with you before we get into the MOU. As you know, when we had to pivot so quickly for the pandemic, we were able to immediately choose a virtual hiring event platform. And it's not after the pandemic, some would say we're still there, but we are continuing to fund that virtual platform and make it available to all of our partners. And we have actually used it in really unique ways. So if you ever need a place virtually where people just need to come together and get information, in something that looks like a targeted hiring event, we try to make that platform available for our partners and certainly our employers. This is going to be really exciting, and maybe we should have a demonstration day where you could come and try it out. We're about to buy virtual reality goggles, I guess would be a good way to describe it. This hardware is for career exploration and can be used by universal customers. You can come in and find out what it's like. I used it to climb a utility pole. One, it's really interesting when you're the one doing it with the virtual reality goggles on. I won't lie, it's kind of amusing to watch other people do it with virtual goggles. So we will be using those actually at the COSI event when they have their big science fair on May 6th, I believe. Yeah, so if you don't want to come to the job center, you want to be in a more fun place, you can come to COSI and try them out. But basically, we have several different career paths, job occupations that you can see what it would be like virtually if you were to choose to work in them. And we're really excited about this. And it's not just for exposing young kids to what the opportunities are, it's also for exposing adults. So we will have those soon, probably within the next month. And for sure, well, we will have them in the next month because we need them for COSI. So would encourage you to explore those. And if you're part of the Job Center MOU, we can also arrange for you to use them with our assistants at events. So we'll work that out. I don't know if Scott knows that. He's not nodding, but trust me, that's what we'll do. We feel now that we're far enough past the scariness of the pandemic to start relaunching some of the things that we did before. Franklin County First Step is one of those for returning citizens who may have been incarcerated. They were incarcerated. It's a kind of a one-stop fair, if you will, that gives them access to professionals in housing, in the court system, in driver's license, all kinds of things that they need in order for us to help them get quickly reemployed. And then CWAT, which Scott, I always forget, Community Workforce something task.
Action Team.
Action Team. Yes. Community Workforce Action Team. And this is, actually, why don't you describe it, Scott, because you're more there.
I would say, I actually sit on the volunteer board for CWAT as well. It is a monthly meetup that we have where we bring job seekers, community connectors, and employers together in a very relaxed, old school networking environment. Everyone gets an opportunity to give their elevator pitch or why they're there. I know a few of you on this meeting have actually participated. It's just a really great feel good kind of event that happens on the last Friday of every month in the job center at 9 a.m. So if you're around tomorrow at 9 a.m. and you want to be a part of something awesome, come see us.
So we also are moving to something we were looking to move to before the pandemic. We are starting to roll out an MOU structure, not this MOU, but MOUs with, for example, the libraries and other locations around Franklin County, allowing us to have space and time to access customers who may not be coming down to the job center, may not know the services we provide. We're doing that for our own career services, but it is not just for our career services. So partners who want to broaden their reach and educate people around the county about the services they provide can also come with us on those days and times. We are somewhat limited by space, so it's probably on a more of a first come, first serve, or planning on where people want to go and be seen. But we want to make sure that we know that everybody's not maybe coming to the job center. They may not be coming to your own locations. So we will be sharing what our schedule is for that and making it available to our MOU partners. Is there anything else you want to say about that, Scott, that I haven't said?
I mean, you definitely hit the nail on the head with it. The whole idea is that we want to prevent each of you from having to build your own MOUs and relationships with a lot of key spaces around the community. We're actively working with the Reeb Avenue Center, and I know some of you already offer programming out of that space. But if you don't, it might be a great way for you to be able to connect with the residents in the near South Side. CML has their 23 branches, and so we can help coordinate all of that. And the idea is that it's going to make things a little more simplistic for you to connect with job seekers, where we've handled that administrative burden in getting the agreement set up and everything.
Okay. So, and the last thing is, of course, for those who do want to access virtually, we're doing our best to expand and constantly look at what the technology is and expand that virtual service delivery option. And of course, anybody who is part of the Job Center will be able to have access to that. And we are seeing people who do want to see us virtually and continue that way. And so we're glad to be able to do that. So I know many of you have heard this because you already our partners, but I'll just go through it quickly just to remind those of you who may not understand what the role of the Job Center is and how it was set up. But the idea is to have a one-stop shop. They are also called one-stops. Many people still call them that, where someone who is unemployed or wants to change their employment and their career path, have access to a lot of services, whether it's to know about housing, if they've got financial issues they need to be dealing with because they're unemployed, whatever those things are, they have special needs, they have, they formerly have been incarcerated. Whatever those employment barriers might be, the Job Center is meant to have everybody in one place to solve those issues as much as we can. So, we are very serious about implementing that with our Job Center. According to the law, some of you are required according to the law to be partners as part of the Job Center. We're always, though, working to not take that for granted, to make, and I see my partner Carmen with the county, she's heard me say this a million times, we want to make a forced marriage a marriage of love. And so that's what we're always trying to do for those of you who, your program requires you to be part of it. And for those of you who are choosing to be part of the Job Center because you recognize the benefits, we love you too. So, but these are the kinds of programs under WIOA that have to be included in the Job Center. And if you want any of these, this PowerPoint, we can certainly share it with you after. So, because I know I'm going to go through this a little quick. So this is just another way of looking at who those partners are. Many of the people who are funded through the Department of Labor are usually going to be required to be a partner. Job Corps, Youth Build programs who are active and are getting funded. We don't really have right now Indian and Native American programs or national farm workers, but if we did, they would need to be part of our Job Center. The Senior Community Services employment programs, trade adjustment assistance, unemployment, jobs for veterans, and any reentry employment opportunities. Those are the kinds of programs that you'll find. Other required partners could be the Department of Education, so all the Perkins funded programs, HUD, if they're doing any employments and training programs, Community Services Block Grant. We've got Bo representing for our Community Action Agency, and that's who receives those funds. And then TANF. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand too. I know I'm going through this. And here's some other optional partners who could belong. Actually, we'll take anybody who wants to be part of us. So, all right, I always use this every year. I said I was going to change it. I still haven't, because I haven't found something as good. If you're a sports person, I love this, and especially because now I've started watching Ted Lasso again. You'll see that it's the manager wants to make the most of our combined talents, and they've tied their legs together. That's kind of how the job center operates, right? We all have talents. We all are bringing something unique and special that is going to help our clients. And we're trying to work together by combining and leveraging each other to make it a better experience. In case you're not familiar, the structure, I always use a mall, and I think those of us on this call, for the most part, still understand what a mall is. I'm thinking younger and younger people may not, but the way the mall works, if you'll remember, when I was growing up near the Great Lakes Mall up in east of Cleveland, right? The mall manager is the one who has the activities in the middle of the mall to bring people to the mall. And they're also the ones who manage the spaces to make everybody, you know, the stores are all open at the same time. Everybody's paying their lease. They look a particular way, right? So the mall manager brings in Britney Spears, or in my case, Debbie Gibson, to do a concert in the middle of the mall. And then hopefully everybody comes to the concert and then they go to the stores, right? So the job center structure is similar. The job center operator, which for us is a contract with Equus. Scott Johnson is the job center operator. That's why I often refer to him and say, hey, do you want to add more to this? He's responsible for managing the service delivery in the job center, making sure that he's communicating with our internal partners, our staff, potential organizations who want to be part of it. He actually manages the facilities and the jobs mobile, which I forgot to mention is also something we're very proud to have and has been completely reskinned and updated in its technology. So that's also another tool we have. So he manages that. Unfortunately, many times he's the one who drives it too. He represents the job center as a whole in key workforce initiatives around the community. So he could, you know, if he's involved in the South Side and the South Side Initiative, and they're looking for something, and he knows, hey, maybe our career services aren't the right one, but one of our internal partners, it's on him to, you know, introduce and connect that internal partner to that initiative. The purpose of the MOU. So, you know, the WDBCO law requires the job center to be funded in the way that it is. So we take that model and we try to, what we want to do is make it something you want to do and that you don't feel forced to do. But this is, the MOU is that structure for having the organizations who are required to be in the job center and those other organizations who are optional, who want to be part of the job center, be part of it and share the costs of the operation. So just like a mall where you might have Macy's and Nordstrom's, right? They're all leasing their space and that lease money goes to operate the entire facility. So the MOU has a broader reason for existing too. It explains how the services and the activities will be coordinated. It explains which services in the job center are shared amongst all the partners. It determines how the proportionate share of cost for operating the MOU will be allocated and funded. It explains how referrals will be made. So, you know, if somebody comes in and they enroll in WDBCO, but they need some other assistance, it explains how we're going to refer people between stores, kind of like joint promotions between stores, if you want to look at it that way. And it explains how the parties will ensure that everything operates the way it's supposed to, how everything will be accessible to the individuals coming in, especially how we can assure that people who have a lot of barriers to employment and who may have disability challenges will be served. Okay, I'm going to take a little break and see if anybody has questions so far. I don't see anybody, so I'm just gonna kind of scroll through here because there's so many of us I can't get you all on one screen. It also allows me to take a breath, I won't lie. Okay. In addition, the MOU states that we'll have, it's the primary, first of all, it's the primary vehicle for partners in the job center to implement the MOU. Oh, the internal partnership meetings that we have then for all the members of the job center is the primary vehicle for Scott as the job center operator to impart information and make sure that the MOU is being implemented properly and making sure that internal partners who have issues that they want to bring up, that they can be addressed. We hold those monthly, and it's our opportunity to coordinate the workforce system, or at least that part of the system that is in the job center. And you'll see that Scott is throwing in there additional information about those as I talk about it. So the board understands that the kind of job center we want to have, and we want to have a very comprehensive center. We want to have a very active center. We want our partners to be using the center as much as they can, because the more that our partners use the center, the better service we're able to provide for everybody. We're also cognizant of the things that we need to do in return. So it's not all just about our partners and their responsibilities, but the board, is also a partner in this. Wanting to make sure that we're updating our technology, that we're keeping the space, a space that's inviting and accessible and all of those things. But to do that, as you know, that costs money. So the funding is meant to be through the Job Center MOU. And I know the majority of you understand that. So the MOU will show an allocation of each partner's proportionate share of the operating costs, and it may be cash, and primarily is cash. There are some instances where there may be third-party in-kind contributions, but the way we've chosen to fund the MOU is based on a full-time equivalent position calculation. So, and the other thing is to understand is you're providing your own services, but the operation of the job center means providing assistance to the universal customers who may or may not need your assistance and may or may not need WIOA assistance, right? The job center is for anybody. Anybody can walk into that center if they're unemployed, regardless of the amount of education they have, the amount of income they made. And this job center in some ways is unique to the state. We seem to be able to really serve the whole continuum, where some of our colleagues in other counties and other areas do not. And so we want to keep that up. But many of those higher income white collar workers tend to be more universal customers. They're coming in maybe for our LinkedIn seminars, or they haven't done a resume in like 20 years. We've actually had that. And they're coming to take advantage of those resources. So the funding of the MOU funds that overall operation of the job center. The formula that the board has landed on and has been funding their MOU for the 7 years that I've been here now, is that there's a minimum contribution of 0.5 FTEs per mandated partner, and our FTEs are actually calculated in 0.2 increments. And then optional partners will be charged 0.2 FTEs per staff person for each day spent providing services to clients in the job center. So again, we will send this out to all of you as soon as we're done so that you don't have to take quick notes. You can take a look at this. So we consider 1 day is actually equal to a minimum of 4 hours in the job center. So an FT equivalent is equal to 0.2 times the number of days that you would be in there. So 0.2 represents 1 unit of a 5-day work week. So it's like teaching calculus. That's why I'm going to give this all to you so you can think through it if it doesn't make sense at first. But an example would be TANF. So if TANF has 2 staff members on site at the job center, and they are there 5 days per week for a minimum of 4 hours per day, that would be 0.2 times 5 times 2, which equals 2 FTEs. So that means that the operating costs of the job center times the number of partner FTEs divided by the total number of FTEs, that is how we determine what that partner's share of the cost of the MOU is. So, in-kind contribution. To be given full credit for an in-kind contribution, a partner must have a staff person in the job center 5 days a week, providing assistance to universal customers, meaning whoever comes in the door. And a combination, you still have to have a combination of cash and an in-kind contribution still would have to equal 0.5 FTEs. So you can see the example there. I won't read it out to you again because I'm going to give it to all of you. So what do we talk about when we're talking about the operating costs for the job center? We're talking about the infrastructure costs, and that means all of our technology, and that's everything from broadband and Wi-Fi costs to electricity costs to the computers we're using, the computers in the resourcing room, our virtual platform. All of those things are part of the infrastructure costs. The pooled resource share costs, our costs to do outreach on behalf of the job center and all of our partners in the job center, and then the staff of the job center operation. I should have updated this slide because this isn't recently, but when we did this, it was a recent addition. The state was informed by the Department of Labor that each mandated partner must attach a copy of their budget to provide workforce services to the MOU. And we have made that into an easy form that we got permission, that we showed the state. We said, hey, is this easy? We're not looking for, for example, I see Jeremy here and the whole agency of Ohio Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities, their whole budget. We have a very simple form that you can fill out, just attach to the MOU. If there's anybody on the state here that's changed, feel free to yell out. But as far as I know, we're still doing that. So our next steps. What we're asking each of you to do is to determine for yourself how we can best assist you in meeting your own organizational goals and the workforce system, and thinking about that and putting it on paper, maybe. And if you need to, call Scott because you want to find out, hey, we want more space, or we're really interested in, scheduling a room, whatever it is that you need, thinking about that, letting us know. So then before we get to signing the MOU, our expectations of each other are clear. So that you don't get into it and you say, well, I thought I could do X. And Scott says, I don't have room to do X, right? We want to make sure that we're really clear as to what we're expecting of each other before we sign the MOU. And we want to be good stewards of, the time, talent, and treasure you're sharing with us to be in the job center. We're asking that you submit that. It can just be an email to us by April 10th. That way we have everybody's expectations, so we can make sure that we can deliver what your expectation is. You should also submit the budget, which we will be sending you that. We'll also send you the budget for the job center, so you know about what that allocation is going to be, but we kind of have to know from you what your expectation is to make sure that we're calculating that correctly. The board and the job center, we will review any space requests. So that we're managing that appropriately. Then after that, we'll provide you a, what is the name of it? Acuity? No, it's Acuity. You'll be able, if you want to have a conversation with us, you can. We absolutely are going to make that available. We'll send it to you. You can pick a time and that works for you. And then we will get in that call and answer any questions or discuss anything you want to discuss. Our plan would be to have the signatures go out as quickly after that April 21st date. And then we will need it by May 24th. It takes a little longer for some of our governmental partners to sign the MOU. So we'll want to make sure that we're doing that, but we are giving ourselves enough time. Then we turn it into the states and they're the last ones to sign typically. Once they've signed, you've all signed, we've signed, we make sure everybody has a copy back. So those would be our next steps. And this is me and where you can send that information, and then I will share it with Scott. Just to be clear, also in the role between Scott and the board, when people say, is the job center part of you or not? Think of it as the board is the board, and the Ohio Means Job Center, Franklin County, Columbus-Franklin County is our McDonald's franchise of the job centers. So we actually wholly own them, but it's on us and the board, Chance Shannon, who is our chief operating officer, and myself, to do any kind of negotiation and discussion. It's not on Scott. So he actually is there to answer questions about operations and space and all of that. But in the end, the actual negotiating or discussing of costs, that's actually Chance or I or both of us. So I just want to make sure that's clear. Scott, you have your hand up.
Just trying to be polite.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
We do have one question from Tammy Bigler that I want to go ahead and hit. And then there's one other thing we need to mention. She's asking about the budget. Are we talking about the budget for Franklin County only?
Yes, because we are only, the Workforce Development Board of Central Ohio, our workforce area is only Franklin County.
Yep, exactly. One other thing, Lisa, that we didn't mention, because the MOU has been running for a while now, there is also a sheet where each partner must designate the types of services that they're going to make available in the center. And so we're going to ask everybody to take a look at that and update it. And it's really important because that helps us understand the scope of what each partner expects to do in the center. Lisa mentioned Bo earlier. Impact offers an amazing, incredibly wide variety of services within the community, but their funding has them offering specific things in the job center. And so we really want to have designated on that sheet exactly what each partner plans to do here. So that way we're able to really help assist in ensuring that the staff have the opportunity to do that, but then also that we keep everything in check from that perspective. If you decide you want to offer different services or have something additional that you're going to do as part of your programming, that's great. We can update that document on the half year like we do the budgets and everything else when we add new partners mid-year.
There was something else I just was going to say as well, and now I forget. It just escaped me. Oh, I know. So those of you who have done this MOU now since the beginning, you know they've been 2-year MOUs. And last year, because of the pandemic, we are a little bit off. So we did a 1-year, the state had us all do a 1-year MOU, but this MOU will be in effect for 2 years. So we would not, when we sign this MOU, we'll do it for 2 years, and then we wouldn't be discussing it again until, holy cow, 2025. So I wanted to make sure I put that out there too. Are there any other questions or?
So the only thing that I'll throw in again to reiterate, please reach out if you have other opportunities, other thoughts around space and the things that you want to do in the center. You know, it's very dynamic in the way that things ebb and flow here. And, you know, we're excited about some new things that we're looking to do, in particular with the ODJFS, but that doesn't mean we don't have space. It never hurts to ask. We can normally figure out any type of requests that you want. I think the other thing that I will lift up there too is that we do a lot around training and professional development, and that is open to all of your staff, not just the staff that work in the center. And so if you're part of those partner meetings, and if you aren't, please let me know who you would like to attend, and we can make sure we get them on the distribution list. But we're really trying to bring forth a ton of great community partners for staff to be able to really have that big toolkit to be able to help, as Lisa said, you know, when it's not the best day of their life, how do we make it much better? And we want to really empower all of your organizations to make that impact on a very holistic way.
I just got a message. We understand that if you receive funding that requires you to be part of the MOU, and then you lose that funding, we understand that you are no longer part of the MOU. So please know that if you have competitive funding and you sign the MOU because you're required to be part of it, and then you lose that funding, you're not signing in blood. We're not going to like come after you and say, oh, but you signed the MOU. We are well aware that you would not continue to be part of the MOU. In the same vein, we have people who may not be on this call who do get funded for something and then join the MOU in the middle. So we are used to that. So there's you should have no concern about that. You're only required if you're a competitive grant recipient to sign and pay in as long as your grant is operating. So if you want to talk more about the next steps in the MOU, that is what that time that we'll make available to everybody is for. So you'll get that link, and you should sign up, and we'll protect that time for you to talk to you. So
and we'll have a variety of times throughout the 2-week window where you'll be able to select. So it won't be limited to 1 or 2 days for sure. And the goal is to have that link with the budget information that we send out. So you get one email with everything so that it's really clear where the stuff's at.
Any other questions? As I tell my Ohio State students, I'm comfortable with silence for a few minutes. Okay, I think you all want your 15 minutes back, and I'm happy to give it to you. Again, please accept my appreciation for being willing to partner with us. And I just, you know, that there's so much work to do in workforce development, and we all know, I don't even have to say, although I should, because I have to say it 5 times, Intel and other companies that are coming here. So there's so much opportunity in Central Ohio. There's no way that, you know, any one of us can meet those challenges. We can only meet them together. And so I just greatly appreciate your willingness to do that. So if you think of a question, you know, after we hang up, you have my email, you know where to find me. Feel free to reach out. If you can't, you know, you need to ask those questions before the time when we've like set aside. Absolutely happy to answer them. But otherwise, if that's all, thank you so much for joining us. And hopefully I will see all of you for real soon. So thank you so much. Thank you, DeWitt.
Take care, Lisa. Good seeing you 2 days in a row.
I know, it's a good week.
It's a great week. Congrats.
All right.
Take care.